We have to stop. You know, when we cannot turn into coming back Fishcreek, we cannot turn in the neighborhood and we go to the right.
Yeah.
Right there's a gas station. We have to stop there because we're scored.
Oh yeah, it was
heavy. So we're about ready to go.
So are we going just straight down?
We talked about
you're
the
on the
route,
right place for it now.
and now we're rolling out of the parking lot.
Abi, my brother. I didn't
Paul's back
acknowledge
here
you
with
this
Abby.
morning, so good morning to you.
We're going to be using Paul's stats today. I had some technical issues with my data. So we're going to be using Paul's cadence and his speed and so forth. I just wanted to have some kind of data on the screen. Abby's saying a prayer as we roll out.
Guys, we're right today. Help us to glorify you. May you have your protection around us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome.
This is Aldridge Bridge. We're going across here. We're headed towards Research Forest Boulevard.
San Diego,
Mike Barrera is here today.
Right
I kind of missed him.
I saw them.
Yes.
How do you
I told him that.
As you prepare.
There's Research Forest Boulevard in the Woodlands, Texas. We got a good turnout today.
It looks really good. The tan sidewalls look great on that bike.
We've had an actual spring in southeastern Texas
they
this
do.
year.
Yeah, I didn't notice
Mild temperatures.
Yeah,
25
Mike, he took
Celsius.
us to one of the Romeo ride with his brand new wheel and tried to kill us over there.
I
So
bet he did.
So the message is, I'm telling you my Congolese. There's a color combination. I'm trying to be like Paul.
please.
I don't Paul dress so well. I think Congolese, those guys, they dress well, they sleep well, they dance well. They are party.
Abby's talking about his so-called traits of the Congolese. This is after 1488. We're on Huffsmith, Conrail. This is in the neighborhood. We're still warming up. We're headed towards Fishcreek Boulevard. In the parking lot, when I put the route together, they're proposed, and then when I get to the parking lot, people make some suggestions, and based on the reason behind it, we make modifications. So this ride, I don't remember specifically if the route was supposed to be Honia, Egypt or Fishcreek, but in the parking lot, we discussed going up Fishcreek. So Abby wasn't privy to that because he came right before we left. And I think also Doug shot. So they thought we were going to go Honia, Egypt.
So it was my wife's birthday last night.
So we're going to do Fishcreek to go out. And you'll see us let them know because they will go in the left turn lane.
Some kind of curry noodles or something.
That's Mike Barreras talking with Paul
We were talking
Ilonda.
about that restaurant down there.
I'm sitting at the front.
Yeah, the taco.
She really likes that.
Good.
Oh yeah, she liked it a lot.
They're talking about one of our little restaurant hangouts, Taka.
One of his favorite.
Taka is an Indian cafe,
24/7.
and they have a good variety, just excellent seasoning, the flavors.
Or actually full vegan?
No, full vegan.
Oh, you are vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be a good place for you.
Yeah.
They have a lot of vegan choices as well as choices
got
for
flavor there.
people that eat meat, poultry, whatever.
I can
They
never have
carry
enough.
everything. That's what they're talking about. I primarily eat plants nowadays anyway. It just doesn't slow me down in the middle of the day. I just seem to have more energy. There's Jonathan on the right there. I'm rolling to the back. I've been sitting at the front since we left Research Forest. I got
Here's my brother right there.
I'm talking about being squared away. You'll hear Mike Barreras.
Looking nice as always.
Hey, we try. No, I'm not nice. I'm squared away.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm squared away.
Yeah, you guys are squared
I
away.
thought I said I
always.
missed him.
Yeah, I miss you too.
I was telling
missed
Mike
having
just
him.
about that, man.
I'm squared away. You have to be squared away. There's no halfway of doing stuff. You have to adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I continually work on the way my bike
so
feels.
the Lake Windcrest, today's Armed Forces Day. And so I saw that they put out flags
That's where he
yesterday in
lives,
front of the
in
whole
Lake
the guys
Windcrest.
that were in the military.
We're on
And
the
they didn't
open
get to
road.
mine because I'm not registered yet in their, I guess I'm not in their system. And so I took
You see
that.
Abby on the
I
left. He
improvised
thinks we're
over
going
David
Honia
Jackson.
Egypt Community
I got
Road.
my own
This
flag.
stretch is called Honia
I got a
Egypt right here.
one.
At the light, it
And then I put
becomes
the Navy flag
Sendera.
underneath the
We're gonna let
United
him know.
States flag.
I'm gonna let him know we're going straight. And Doug also thought we were gonna turn.
Hey, straight.
So I'm gonna check the map. I don't know if the map
Come
called
on,
for
guys,
that.
over.
It probably did, but we made a modification in the parking lot. I
They
put the
changed it
route
on you
out
guys.
there
Sorry.
as a guide, so we changed it. That's what Paul is
How are you,
apologizing
Kenny?
to Kenny and them. I put it as a guide because really I want people's input. When people show up and we get to the start, if they feel like, well, you know, it rains so much. It rains so much that maybe Honia Egypt might be underwater. People come up with suggestions. Why don't we do Fish Creek? I'm open to that. I mean, it's just I kind of want people to enjoy the ride, and so the route is a suggestion per se. We're still gonna go to the same area. It's kind of like going to the grocery store. There's many ways to get there, and then so I want the group to, by consensus, say, yeah, let's do this way, or you know. So we always try to solicit people's input. But our goal is to still do the, I guess, close to the mileage that we propose, or the hours. That's the cyclist tapping his horn. So I'm not sure why we changed it to Fish Creek, but in the parking lot, that's kind of what we were discussing, and we decided, yeah, let's do Fish Creek, because I said that I wanted to do what the rained out ride, and the rained out ride had called for us to do Fish Creek last week, which we did not finish. And I may have put the wrong route out there that showed Honia Egypt, but we got it sorted. But I want people to feel that they're not pigeonholed into the route that we lay out. You know, it's a suggested course for the day. We had a good turnout, and this group has gotten faster, you know, and so in a little bit we'll catch up to the group that leaves from another place called Zanti's on Research Forest. They leave about the same time. They leave around 7:30, but they're further up the road than where we start. So Mike has not been training. He's been trying to get his home squared away. You know how it is when you move. You got to get situated. And so he's basically riding on fumes and experience. Experience and fumes. He's using every old trick in the book. I was actually surprised to see him pull. I don't know if it's on camera or not, but I saw him pulling during the ride. Did not expect him to even take a pull. But he rode great. Rode great. So he's going to join us again next week. Hopefully he'll be able to consistently get out, you know, because once he's getting things settled at home. It's tough when you move into a new home. You got a lot of things to deal with. Getting the utilities turned on, getting things put up in the right places. You know, sometimes you got to get new furniture or whatever. You know. Moving your home is, even if you're moving a few miles away or a long way, it's an arduous task. So I think in a little bit we're going to see a group in the distance. We don't usually ride up on many groups out here, so I was kind of surprised. But we are moving. You see, we're doing 46 kilometers an hour. This pulse cadence that you're seeing at the right there. So I had an issue with my Garmin 1040. The data was not showing up in the activity file when you load it on the computer. It's on the unit, but it's not transferring over when I turn the unit into kind of a hard drive mode. And so I'm going to get with Garmin's engineers, and it's a software related issue. It happened on the 1000 I used to have. So it's kind of a common problem with this software. I'll let everybody know we're going through. This is the tail end of the bunch anyway. You always want to do that. Let people know you're stopping or you're continuing. We are going pretty fast here. I'm probably sitting right in zone 3. I'm finally fully healed from my aching hamstring and lower back and different issues I had. Off the bike issues that were exacerbated when I would get on the bike and ride hard. So on this ride, I did not push too much. I just kind of sat in for the most part and just stayed with the pace. I want to make sure I'm fully healed. I didn't want to take any kind of cortisone shots or whatever. You know how it is when you strain and pull stuff. First thing I want to do is give you shots. No, I want to feel the discomfort. That's the body's way of telling you something's up. I don't want to mask the pain. Yeah, I slept funny the night before, so my right shoulder felt stiff. And so all I was doing, I was rolling it up and down to kind of loosen it up. Because even Paul mentions, you were moving your shoulder. I say, I was just trying to loosen it up a little bit. So you have to try to stretch when you're off the bike. Riding the bike is good. It keeps you in good shape, but it doesn't work all the muscles. You know, do some calisthenics, do some sit-ups, whatever. Strengthen your core. Especially in the winter, you can mix it up when you're not riding as much. But even during the season, you got to do a little bit of core work so you can transfer that power to the pedals. I'm riding a pair of Zip 101s. I finally was able to find a set, and they ride really well. In a probably about 30 kilometers or so, maybe 18, 20 miles, I end up having it flat. You will hear it probably. It goes, psst. I have latex tubes in those tires, and I don't know what happened to the one on the front. It started feeling like it was lumpy, and usually that's a deformity. Latex has a short lifespan. They work well, but they're not very durable. There's the group. That's Zanti. That's Dave. There's Scott. That looks like Bob. And that's Mike S5 there. And I see Dan the Man. So we go by, everybody says hi. I just waved. And I think Mark Kate is there because I ended up hearing him. I was keeping my eye on the wheel in front of me because these guys didn't slow down as we went by. A few of the riders from there will try to hang with us for a while. Just like we do when people come by, sometimes we in the mood. And then we stop at this light, so we all get together, we bunch up here. Both groups. I think the light's gonna change. It's pretty short. I didn't even on clip. I'm staying close to save energy because even though I've dubbed this film, you can still hear that wind. The wind's always here, and the faster we go, and the more it slows you down. It takes an exponential amount of power to increase the speed on flat roads. because you're fighting wind. Increasing the speed going uphill actually takes less in terms of the amount of power you got to put out to really feel the speed change, because you're not fighting that much aerodynamic drag, you're fighting gravity. So if you're a good climber, you can make up a lot of time on a climb when you're trying to catch up to somebody. The whole time I'm riding here, my eye is not on just the guy in front of me. I'm watching everybody up ahead, scanning, paying attention, because then you can see when you need to put in the effort. Because the acceleration usually happens from a few riders up before you feel the impact or the effect. Looks like they're adding a left turn lane over there on the left. A little shopping center or something. So we're doing about 22, 23, going into the wind on these little rollers, anywhere between 1% to 3%. So it's a good effort. Right now about 23 miles an hour. Our group has gotten faster than it used to be, and depending on who shows up, the character is different. So there's Dan the man on the left. He joined us from the other group. And I see a few guys back there. This is Ridge Shores intersection, big subdivision. Lots of good rollers in there. We've been in there. We've filmed in there as well. I'm making sure I slid right back where I was. I was behind Kenny, and I'm holding my position. I don't want to work very hard on this ride. In about probably 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, I will get to the front and take a pull. But I won't stay there too long, but I take a decent pull. That's Dan on the left there. He stayed well for a little bit. Some of the other riders have fallen off. That was riders. There were riders from the group we passed that last stop. And these guys here are not backing off. I had a customer come to my shop to get some service on his bike, and he was asking whether I still rode, and I said, yeah, I still ride. And he wanted to know whether he could join our ride, and just from sizing him up, I knew that he was not at our level, so I just told him, I said, well, we do about 100 miles on Saturday. The group does 75 to 80, and then Paul and I do another 20, warm up and cool down. I said, so when you get to where you can do more than 50, then yeah, you could probably come and maybe go part of our ride. I said, but right now, I wouldn't recommend our group, because I don't want to bring somebody and it's way over their head. It's not a whole lot of fun. So what I do is I recommend Sun and Ski. It's another shop in the area, and they have different levels of their rides. So I try to direct people there that are newer. I told him, I said, start with that, and then you can join us later when you've gotten a lot of K's in your legs. And he asked, he said, don't you get tired on a 100-mile ride? I said, well, I didn't start doing it yesterday. So you build up to it like anything, So his questions told me that he was not a seasoned cyclist to ride with our group. And so that's why I steered him to Sun and Ski that has like a beginner, intermediate, and so forth. So hopefully he'll be able to hang with them because those guys are still pretty decent, even though they're not as experienced. They have like the fastest group goes first in the middle, and then they got, you know, probably 2 or 3 bunches. I don't think he's really ready for group riding right now. I think he's more of a social rider at this point. I told him to try them and see, call the store, get the times, because they change them. Like our group, once it gets very hot, people were already saying, are we going to change the time? We'll probably leave an hour earlier. So clip in at 6:30. And that will be back around 10:30, and it's not oppressively hot in the middle of summer. But we've had a nice spring. This ride is 25 Celsius. That's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a mild day. So you can see I'm wearing an Aero jersey. When it's very hot, I don't wear an Aero jersey. It's too warm. I wear the flyweight stuff. Well, we've had a blessed spring, just lovely rain. You know, a few humid days, but then something blows in, you know, it cools off. So our mornings, even this late in May, is like 18 Celsius to start, which is like 67, 68 Fahrenheit. And then we get in the upper 80s to almost 90 for a high. But it's just nice and it's still a little dry. So it's not very humid this week anyway. We've had very good rains and people are still running the sprinklers. That's what I don't understand. So all the water's running down the sewer because the ground's already saturated. It's just a waste. You have to pay attention to details. Details matter. We climbed this thing around 350 to 400 watts. That's what I saw when I was riding. It was pretty civilized, you know. We just kind of rode it. Not easy, but not very hard.
Yeah, Neville too. That place is strong now. Neville, yeah. There goes the neighborhood. Neville is just up.
So next week we'll have our usual stats, but this week I at least wanted to have the speed there, you know, temperatures and all that kind of stuff. That's important. I don't want to just load a film. I want you to feel connected. So all the other stuff is accurate. Since my stats weren't there, we don't have any power. Because power is the main thing I really want to display. I display both because I don't care. The heart rate varies for everybody. Everybody's biologically different, you know. My 160 is somebody else's something. I mean, one guy might be 170 for him, the next guy might be 140. And that's not necessarily an indicator of fitness per se because you're hitting a high heart rate. I think it's more of a tolerance. You need to be able to tolerate those zones.
You're looking inspection ready in that.
That's Mike Barreras.
Thanks, sir.
He look inspection ready.
So
That's that naval background.
My brother.
Squared away. Yeah, Paul's wearing all white. He's got white sleeves. He's wearing his summer arm sleeves. I haven't broken mine out yet because it's not as hot yet. But yeah, in the heat of summer, we cover our arms, those breathable arm sleeves. Yeah, we're letting Abby know. He's got that Garmin Varia stuff, but I don't know what he's trying to do. There's a car there. Now it's clear. I want to see those bad boys. I don't care about all that radar stuff. It's nice, but I want to see what's behind. I use my mirrors. I can see them. That little mirror is small but effective. And I've gotten to where I can't ride without it. I love it. It allows me to communicate with the other road users earlier and earlier. I let them know. They know what I'm doing. I know what they're doing. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, more cars are coming, so we slow down. So those guys that got through, we got gapped. There's a guy in a Corvette. He's really booking here. So we turned on Capitol Hill Road. We are in Honia, Texas. Capitol Hill Road. Quiet road. Get a car now and then. A few houses on the left and right on either side of the street. Very quiet. I like coming out here. You're out of town, you ride for a lot of kilometers before you come to the intersection. On this stretch, I think we will ride about 3 kilometers before we, maybe 5K, about 3 miles before we come to the intersection. Maybe a little less. Anyway. The road goes up here.
Car up.
Car up, we let people know, so just in case they're not paying attention, always call cars up. Definitely cars back, especially when they're coming around. We like to call cars back so people can close it up so these guys can get around us and go on by their business so we can resume what we're doing. So these guys waited for us Doug and them. Doug Shot and Abby, and it looks like Pete Clark, a new rider that joined our group this week. He'd been here before with Friends of Friends, another group in the area. And I think Darren's up there also. I stay a little to the right so I can see around Jonathan, who's in front of Abby. Jonathan in the purple jersey. I want to see to decide what line I'm going to take. The tires on my wheel, they're made by brand, it's called Veloflex. I just learned this weekend during the ride from Mike Paredes that Veloflex bought Vittoria. So, you know, the same workers are making these tires. But they're not super strong like the gator skin and so forth. So they cut easily, but I tell you what, they ride so well. They're lovely tires. So for as long as they'll last, I'll have them. They're not gonna last forever, but they're high performance tires. I don't train on them. I'll use them on the weekends, primarily on the group ride, and then I hang them up. So they're kind of pricey. They're not training tires, but they really enhance the feel. They're close to the feel of a pair of tubulars when you're on them. So you have to watch. I'm reading the road. I don't want to go through any ruts and stuff because the sidewalls cut easily. My rear has a little cut from this ride. And I was like, well, it could have been the ride before. It's my second time taking them out. But not bad enough to where I have to replace them, but you got to watch those. So I have latex in them. I ended up removing the latex on this ride because I had a flat in the front, and I used Continental Race 28 Light. Raven Chapel Road, still in Honia, going north. But the Race 28 Light is a light butyl tube. Works fairly well, but it's definitely a lot tougher than latex. And it holds the air. With latex, you got to pump them up very frequently, and then, you know, after a few months, they can just go on you on any ride. It's hard to know. You know, latex, they're temperamental. So I decided to just leave that Race 28 Light in the front. There's latex still on the rear one. If it messes up, then I'll swap it out, but I'm going to use it up. I'm not going to get any more latex. They're a bit temperamental. Well, one thing that I would just set and forget and ride. My brother Abby here. Abby's got his Rafa flyweight. You see how Abby is color coordinated. White on the top, matching white on the bottom. Even the shoes are white with a silver heel. And that way, with that contrast, it's very visible. So we're going into the wind on a slight grade. We're doing about 18. I think we did 18 to 20, and I don't know if we climbed around 18. The effort stayed kind of the same. We're close to, like, I guess, zone 3 was sweet spot for me anyway. But right now we're just kind of, you're sitting in. If you're in a groove here in a situation where and you're just at your max, then yes, the group is just too fast for you. You do the best you can, and if you feel your form deteriorating, you let them go, and you keep riding. You will improve. So our group, what we try to do is ride between 3.5 and 4 hours with the group, and maybe an hour or two ourselves. What we're finding is that if we leave at 7:30, and let's say we take a 15-30 minute break throughout the ride, and we get back around 11:30 noon, so that's 3.5. So it's like a 3.5-4 hour ride. We can cover 70 to 80 miles an hour within 4 hours, because we're riding close to an average of 19-20 miles an hour, even out here in these rolling hills. But everybody kind of gets used to getting back close to 11:30 or lunchtime. That's kind of what I try to do. So we try to keep the rides, the length of the rides, 3.5-4 hours. People got other things to do. Once you go much longer than that, then you know the group will split. Of course, there are a few people that always want to go longer, but we're trying to encourage more people to finish the ride. And then when we get to tacos, sometimes we'll change the way we return. Like on this ride, we had planned to do Spring Branch, we didn't. We just came back Fishcreek. That's Kelly. She was at the front. Kelly's a strong rider. She doesn't mess around.
Looking good, Kelly.
See how I feel at the end.
She said, wait till you see how, wait to see how I feel at the end. She was fine. Yeah, we missed Laura on this ride. Laura is taking a week off, doctor's orders. So, of course, she's banging the table at home. The doctor told her to take the week off. She had a little procedure, so she needed to rest. I told her, speedy recovery, rest up. It's hard for athletes to take time off. But sometimes it's good for us. Get a chance to heal. Unless you have an event coming, you know, sometimes, yes, take the time off, heal physically and mentally. When we turn, I think I stand here. Yeah, just keep my gear rolling. This road is a slight descent. South Pine Boulevard is going to take us the Mill Route. At this point, I haven't really started drinking yet because I drank before I got on the bike, and so I don't need to drink right now. You have to pay attention to that. You got to make sure that you're hydrating. Otherwise, your urine will be pickled with lactic acid. pointed at that truck coming so people would know something's there. Because in this wind, they may not hear me. There's a lot of riders behind us. So whenever possible, use hand signals. Point at stuff. People can just look where you're pointing. Flip your hand. You know, that's more effective. I mean, car up, car back. People know where to expect the vehicle. You know, regardless of where you are, whether you drive on the right or left side of the road, people know where vehicles are. So those guys would not have heard anything I said. So I just pointed at that truck to let them know. That's Kenny behind there, and then Mike Barreras in Veloharmony orange. Sporting the Rafa Flyweight Protein Flyweight jersey. Looked squared away. Little ripples in the pavement I'm pointing at. We're going to be turning. You want to stay close so you don't have to work too hard. Stay close to the wheel you're on. I stay to the outside a little bit just in case. If somebody goes down in front of you and you got some room, you can maneuver. I think this is Pete Clark. He's pulled off. And I think Doug Schott is pulling right now. So we're doing about 22, 23. This stretch here is anywhere between 1% and 3%. So we're working. This is mill route. I'm in third position. And in a few kilometers, when Doug pulls off, Darren is going to pull off also, because Darren had been pulling on Fishcreek. He had taken some long pulls early in the ride, and he realized that because Doug is pulling really hard here. This is like, let's see, it says 1%. It's more than that, because in a little bit it's going to go. You see Abby's cadence going up. He's spinning a smaller gear. I want to feel my gear, so I'm probably 85, 90 at most. And whatever I'm doing, I can do it for the duration. I'm not doing it. I'm not laboring. I'm working it. And I vary that. Sometimes I'll spin a smaller gear faster. You know, just spin whatever gear I'm in. Or sometimes shift up depending on how I feel at the moment. But we're doing 22, 23 in here. That's fast for this area. In a little bit, I think I'll go up to like 3%. So when he pulls off, Darren's going to pull off immediately. And you want to do the same thing, because Darren had been working hard early in the ride, and he realized he needed more recovery before sitting out in the wind. Right there, Doug pulls off. Darren's going to pull off immediately. He taps out too. He's pulled off behind Doug. And I just go ahead and keep the same effort they were holding, and I roll on through. Smooth and steady. This will allow Doug and Darren to go back in there and catch their breath, because we're riding together. The road's gonna go up. I wish I had my watts displayed. I kept it between 350 to 500 when it went up here. Now, I wasn't laboring a big gear. I downshifted maybe a cog or so, and I kept my cadence up. And then as soon as it leveled off here, I would shift up and go through the gears, just to keep the effort, keep the momentum, the impetus. So my plan here is to pull us through mill route to 2854 and then get off the front. Because even though we have a lot of riders have different levels of fitness right now. Some people have not been riding frequently and all. There's always stuff going on. And so if you're in a group where you've got good form and other people are struggling, then do more of the work and improve your form even more. Stay at the front longer. So the road's gonna go up. Around here I did like 500 and some watts. I kept it hard enough to where it was decent. It's a guy on a motorcycle. I just moved closer to the right when I heard that noise. I thought it was a car. So the road's leveling off here now. It says 1%. I'm gonna shift up and just keep riding. Keep the impetus. The speeds are gonna go up because we're going slightly downhill. So that's Paulie Longa's stats you're seeing. So he's coasting. Now he's pedaling again. And I'm still just pedaling. So next week we'll be back to normal. I'm going to be working with Garmin on that issue with my head unit and get that sorted. It's always something with our bikes. That's why I don't like too many gadgets. You know, I got enough issues dealing with mechanical problems. Now I got to deal with technical stuff with head units and all that foolishness. I just want to ride my bike. So we're turning right. I'm going to look left, check, it's clear. I'm going to put my arm out, let everybody know. And then somebody say clear. I put my arm out so they know it's clear. So in a little bit, I'm going to drift to the right. The wind is mostly coming from the front. I sit up a little bit to give Abby more of a draft. I'm going to move over in a little bit. I'm just kind of letting the rhythm level off so he can take over. Right there. I'm going to move over. I'll wave him up. So Abby takes over. I'll drift all the way to the back. We're going into the wind, and this road is a ninja / false flat. Look at that sky. Beautiful white clouds. Abby's letting that truck know we're going straight. The guy was waiting to turn. Sometimes doing that gets their attention so they can see you, because they don't really see us. They don't see us that well. They don't see motorcycles. That's why motorcyclists, some of them make their exhausts loud to be heard and all of that. But I think just having a light on there as they're required has improved their visibility. People get too comfortable just seeing cars, and they don't want to look for other smaller vehicles, smaller profile vehicles. So I don't ride without a light. I have a light on the front and on the rear of my bike at all times. This shoulder gets wider here. This is actually a right turn lane. They took the shoulder and made a right turn lane. There is a new neighborhood probably in about 50 meters where you're turning right. That's what this is for. Then it's going to shrink back to a small shoulder. But then they've come out here and they're doing some kind of construction, and they've got these little pylons. I don't know, I wouldn't call them little. Kind of like medium pylons. They're kind of tall on the shoulder, and then they got it all chewed up. They got rough asphalt. I'm like, dude, make up your mind and fix the road. They look like they're messing around. I'm sure that's a reason behind it. You'll see it in a little bit. So we're going to end up having to use the main lanes, you know, because it gets to be a mess in a little bit. If you try to stay on the shoulder, you can't, because they got those construction pylons, the thin, the skinny ones. Look to the right. There they are. And they're not placed in the same position. So some of them are closer to the white line, some of them are next to the grass. So we don't take the chance. That's why Abby's on the road. But look at what they've done. They've put a little bit of asphalt down here. It's not very smooth. It's almost like they plan on coming back, you know. because this road the speeds are high, so we like to use the shoulder. So we're doing about 19 miles an hour into the wind because it's blowing, and this road is a grade. And it will probably register as you see that curve in the distance kick in. Because there's some new feature that downloaded on my head unit now. It shows the picture of the climb. It gives you different colors so you can tell when you're really on the highest gradient and all that foolishness. I've got to find a way to turn it off. Because it turns off your normal training page with all your data, and it shows this graphical layout of the hill. I don't know, maybe I'll get used to it. I did some update, because you got to update your unit. If you're going to call them for support, and I'm having problems with the data on the head unit, you got to update before you call, because that's the first thing they'll ask you. Do you have the latest version? Not that it has anything to do with it, but it makes sense. Do you hear that wind? Two percent climb into the wind. It's good. It's a good effort. It's like at least zone 3 for the people in the back. I don't know what zone Abby's in, but it's a work zone. And it's, once again, they've got fresh asphalt here on both sides. There, I don't know what they're doing. Just get it done and move on. Give us the road. So we have to use the main lane because look at where the pylons are. They're scattered all over. So next week I'm going to take us through Spring Branch, I think, going out. This is a downhill stretch, and slight grade downhill. It's relatively flat. As we get closer to the light, then it descends towards the intersection at 105. We are in Montgomery, Texas. That's why I call it the open road. You can ride in excess of 8 kilometers before you come to an intersection. And where we're going, even more Ks before you get an intersection. Look at the sky. Look at the clouds, like something's brewing. We've gotten a lot of influx of dry air. Nice. So even on this day, it's blowing from the northeast. So it looks like they're going to increase the width of these lanes because they're working on the edge of the road there. This is Highway 105, which goes east and west. In the eastern direction on the right will take you into Conroe, Texas. And if you stay west, you will go through downtown Montgomery you'll pass Dobbins, Texas. And you stay there long enough, it'll take you all the way to College Station. I mean, you have to get on all the roads, but you get the idea. That's an important road here, 105.
Guys, go ahead.
It's gotten very congested. They've added new medians in the middle of the road to separate the traffic. The growth of the area spurred that need. We're near Taco Corner. We're not going to stop there. We're going to go by Taco Corner and go west on 1097 into the forest. This stretch of road here is slight grade. See how it slopes to the left? It's around 2%, and it stays like that. And as you get further up there's no protection. The wind hits you. And I don't know if the camera will show it, but we continue to slow down. So whoever's pulling when the wind hit them, and we went slower and slower. Because, yeah, you do have to adjust your pace. This, we're doing a long ride. It's a 4-hour ride. So we leave at 7:30 and we want to be back around 11:30 at noon at the latest. We for stoppage time, let's say, like I had a flat. It was a quick fix. Or we stopped at the store, 10 minutes or so. That kind of stuff. So, 15, 20 minutes stoppage time. We're climbing here. I'm not sure if it's going to register. It's still saying 0%. It is more than that. Yeah, now it says 1, 2. There we go. That's what it feels. It's like a 2, 2.5. And then the wind is hitting us. There's not much to protect you. When it's windy on this thing, you feel it. And in the winter, it's windy and cold. You see the speeds going down. This is where we're getting near the apex, and that wind is blowing harder. So all I did was I would downshift a cog to keep my rhythm the same. I think it's Kenny up there. Paul's letting them know there's a car back. We can't really echelon. The wind's blowing from the right, heavily from the north. We're headed west. It says northwest, but we're headed mostly west. You'll see west come in the, look above the cyclist head in the avatar, the diagram there. You see west swinging to the middle. As a cyclist that Abby knows, I guess. So this is a good effort to be doing 18 miles an hour on this thing and into this wind. Yeah, it was blowing. So at this point in the ride, Jonathan turns right down the hill at the intersection. He's going to turn right and go to Taco. So I think he was doing a shorter ride. Clément Champoussin from the AG Tour Citroën La Mondiale team, John Malbrecht, all kitted out in Assos, the RS line. Looking sharp. So Jonathan's going to turn right to go to Taco. Taco's on that side. Somebody twisted the screw, because we're doing 40 kilometers an hour right here. Paul's riding back up to Abby's wheel. I think I'm behind Paul at this point. I don't know if I'm behind or up there. I'm behind. Pete and I back there, just watching everything. There's a car behind us on this stretch, but he's very patient. He sits there, he waits, he sees us working. The road is narrow and you don't have good sight lines because that's a hill for the other side, the other lane. And so you don't have that visibility. So he stays behind us until we get to the intersection and turn right. So you hear a car back, but he doesn't come around. So Kenny is still pulling. We're going to turn on 149, Highway 149. We're a little north of downtown Montgomery. Probably about 1.5 kilometers, maybe 1.5 kilometers, about a mile north of downtown. But all of this area is Montgomery. They've been patching a hole on the corner coming up, and they've done a poor job of it. Every time they drop the asphalt, it just gets messed up. Look at on the right there. It's not very smooth. They just drop blobs of asphalt in there instead of smoothing it out. This is Highway 149. Montgomery is behind us. We're going to be turning left on a road called Martin Luther King Drive or something. It's going to cut through. It's quiet. It's going to cut us through to 1097. So we stay off this busy highway. There's a school right here on the right. They've held some bike rides that started from the school. I think it's an elementary school, if I'm not mistaken. All of this is Montgomery, the outskirts of downtown. Montgomery, Texas, within Montgomery County. This road has a couple of speed bumps. I think in a little while, a couple of dogs come out trying to act tough. And then Doug tells me that 4 dogs chased him. And you know, when you're riding and you're not expecting a dog to come up on you, it startles you. And to get 4 of them, I don't particularly care for that. If they're behind me, I'm gonna have to have some bad legs for them to catch me. They're gonna have to work. But he said, yeah, 4 dogs, a pack of 4 dogs. There's a speed bump, and they're not very visible. Got a little white thing on there, and they're significant. You don't want to hit those unawares. So when you're riding, group or no group, you got to read the road. Just a pretty day. I mean, every day on the bike is a beautiful day, but this was just so nice and mild. Nice to be riding, not having to deal with sweat. You know, there's no perspiration in your face or anything like our summers get. A little bit of those dogs that come out. A couple of dogs in the yard trying to act tough. There he is. Look at him.
Hey! Hey!
He ran up. He stayed in the grass. I told him to behave. Then the little one will act tough after the big guy goes back. At least he didn't come on the road in front of the group. I grew up with dogs. You have to watch their body language. Some of them, you know, if they do what you expect, that's predictable. They start doing something you don't expect, keep your distance. Yeah, some of those guys are, you know. I don't like the dogs that come up with these slow, quiet growl, you know. The bark, yeah, I'm used to that one, but those growls, like, you don't know what that guy's thinking. Might be Cujo. He might be seeing things. I read that book, Cujo. The book is very, very deep. The movie is okay, but you can't get in the dog's mind in the movie. In the book, you get into the thoughts of the dog. Stephen King must have had a hell of a childhood be coming up with all this crazy stuff he writes. This is FM 1097, the western tip of it. This will take us into the forest. It's also known as Bethel Road. They renamed these highways. Yeah, in a few kilometers,
One guy tried to hang.
in a few kilometers, my front tire starts feeling lumpy, like something was stuck on it. I end up rubbing it with my hand, my gloved hand. You gotta be careful when you do that. I just put it on top of the tire lightly, and there was nothing on there. And then the lump started happening more frequently. In other words, there was a certain kind of increase in intensity. You know how you get it just got to where, and I just heard like the tooth pop, the latex. So it had just reached its life. It's been laying around the house, and I just put it in there. I don't know, but that's no excuse. That's the thing with latex. You don't know when they're gonna go, and they blow. They're loud. Didn't take long. I pulled it out of there, rolled it up, put it in my pocket, put a new tube in there, and we're off. Didn't take any time. A minute, maybe a couple of minutes. 2 to 5 minutes, no more. Something like that. That light went out. I used the light all week, and I was trying to see how long it would last. So I'm still getting 9 or 10 hours out of it. That's it. So I have switched it to the non-braking function to see how long it will last. I like the form factor of the light. This road is very lumpy, very deceiving. It looks flat, but it's not. So before he had even pointed to the sand on the side of the road. Yeah, you see I put my hand on there? You gotta do that carefully. Don't get your hand stuck in there trying to be cool. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing on top of the tire, like a piece of tar or something that may have gotten stuck on it. And it just, the lumpiness continues. So I'm kind of monitoring it. I looked between the brake pads. There was no wobble. The wheel is still true, so I don't know. We're gonna slow down. There is a truck turning. Letting Kelly know she's right up on him. He's turning right.
He's turning, I think.
That's why they have these cones out here. Some kind of a job site. They're building something. So he's gonna use the other side of the road to swing into the driveway on the right.
Now that's the way you turn it a crit.
That's it. That's a crit.
That's a, yeah, Mark Barreras said that's how you turn in a crit. You gotta go wide to carry all that speed. Oh man, that's funny. So this whole point here, the front tire is feeling just squishy, lumpy, you know. I'm looking at, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking on the edge of the brake right there to see if the rim is rubbing on the brake pads. The tire just doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm working twice as hard to get it rolling. So I'm watching it, and it just continues to get worse. In a little while, I'm gonna pull off to check it because it just started getting noisier and noisier, and it felt lumpier and lumpier, and then when I pulled off, it blew. That's why I like those tires. I like the high quality tires. You can tell when something's off. I've been feeling that for a few miles. You see what I just did? That little fish, I was trying to get the tire to behave. I was trying to, maybe there's something on it. So I just kind of did a little fish tail to get the front tire to rub it off or whatever. Because I can still feel the lumpiness. The tube in that, the latex is failing. And it feels like it's twisted and lumped up or something, which is weird. It's been there for a few weeks, you know. That's the only thing with latex. They're finicky, like a problem child. So you gotta be able to deal with all those kind of things and still hold the pace, you know. That's why we train. So on my mind, I'm monitoring that front wheel, even though I'm working harder and harder to keep it rolling. I'm just keeping my eye on it. And then it starts to get progressively worse. That's what I'm looking at again. Then it starts to go chugga, chugga, chugga. Literally, you could hear it. Now I'm going to wave Paul up, because he's going to ask me if something's wrong, because he sees me messing with it. He sees me looking at it. That's why your bike needs to fit you. I can feel a few millimeters of change in my bicycle. I can feel it. I feel the pavement surfaces, all of that. I don't run very high pressures. 95. I can feel it. I put 90 in the front, 95 in the back. So when things change, I can tell, because the bike is like an extension of my body. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the distance between the brake pad and the rim, because it feels like I ought to be rubbing. I'm pulling the brake pad. I think that's what I did. I'm on the drops right now, but it's just something's not right. And as it got louder and louder, I said, nah, I can't carry this into the forest, because the roads in the forest are even lumpier. Watching that front tire the whole time, and it's just misbehaving. So it's not a whole lot of fun at this point. I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's wrong with this thing? Because early in the ride, it was fine. And as that tube deteriorated, felt like the fairy tale where the princess on the bunch of mattresses can feel the little pee that they put under all the mattresses. I was like, I could feel it. As we go faster, it feels lumpier. There's a guy backing out onto the highway, which is not a brilliant move. Abby's filming on his phone. I don't like to watch films that are filmed in portrait mode. You know, a lot of the Instagram stuff and stuff like that, I don't like to watch it. Not my cup of tea. Give me landscape. I want to see widescreen, cinematic mode.
Great shot, my brother.
Kelly pulls off the front. I thanked her for the pull. I think Pedro is pulling. And Mont Champoussin is on his wheel. And then Pete Clark. It's right in front of me. This whole time I'm feeling that lump and it's annoying me. I'm not enjoying the ride. The back tire is smooth. You hear the wind. That's what keeping the temperatures down. It says 27 Celsius. Feels like 24, let's say. Just a nice, dry airflow. Right here, I'm experiencing more lumpiness. I freewheeled, I checked. It's starting to get worse, I believe. I'm gonna pull out the line right here. I'm looking at it. I'm gonna get out of the line and wave Paul up. He's gonna ask me something's wrong.
You good? Whoa.
Right there.
Hey, slow!
It blew. It blew. As I pulled out, it blew. So the latex tubes are very famous for that. They fail catastrophically when they do reach the end of their life. And that's what happened there. It blew and, that was it. The good thing was I wasn't going very fast. And I felt the lumpiness. Abby says,
man, that was loud.
Abby says, I needed to pee anyway. I said, man, you should have said something. So since it's the front, I just put the fork down on the ground. The bike will stay, especially on solid ground. You don't need to hold your bike. Abby's peeing right on the road, right on the highway. He's marked all this area here, every tree. He can probably find his way home blindfolded.
The latex.
It's the latex too. I'm reaching in there for my tire iron.
They have a short lifespan.
Those are beautiful tires.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, Veloflex. Isn't that good stuff?
They are just,
Veloflex,
like steel,
Italian. I just learned that
they roll like the old Clement Criterion setters with the silk sidewalls back in the day.
Yeah, the feel is. But man, they're pricey though. You gotta get them on sale.
Well, the ones that I get at World Plaster, they're only 55.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, in today's world, that's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Right now,
Sorry, I'm halfway.
Yeah, my brother, it started getting like a bubble in it, almost like a bubble. So I started looking at it. I was like, wait a minute. I just
I keep on being
the sound was
yeah, it's
clear. Like I could hear it
latex.
perfectly.
That looks like a Michelin
They
latex.
fail.
Yeah.
They fail.
I have
They
some of
feel
those.
it.
Yeah.
The Victorias are pink and the
Those fancy
Michelin.
inner tubes, man.
Well, it's just
Nothing fancy about
It's
it.
the inside.
It's actually
figure out what the
good.
heck happened because I don't even see a hole.
Try blowing on it. See if it,
Yeah, it should be a big one.
well, there's a hole in there, all right.
Yeah,
as
when
fast
it
as it went, yeah.
when it popped,
yeah, it started the wheel started to wobble which tells me it's a defect in the tube. It's almost like
pinch tube.
Yeah, it could have been pinched.
yeah.
Now we have the same thing in San Diego, the San Diego Gas and Electric Company. You'll go by there and there'll be 15 guys standing there
watching one guy fix something. That's what Mike was saying. Okay. So yeah, I changed that quickly and put a regular tube in there. We're heading into the forest. I believe Kenny is pulling. I'm second wheel. I'm sitting on Kenny's wheel. So we're on the FM 1097 shortly after finishing the repair. So we put about 80, 85 PSI. The little pump that we carry, to put more, your arm will get tired. They say you can do up to 160, you know, the Topeka pocket rocket. But I don't run that high pressures in these things. I like to feel the suppleness of the tire as I ride. So the day just stayed very mild. We didn't get a lot of sunshine, just as you see with overcast. Just very, very pleasant. We are entering the Sam Houston National Forest. You can see the road has gone from that wide open highway into this path. These used to be probably the fire trails. You know, they do a lot of controlled burns. And people own property. See the fence on the left? People own property within the forest. They have their animals and stuff. But I love coming out here because it's always like this. You get a car now and then. That's about it. And nobody's flying through here. You can see the road is not for very high speed. They have people that come out here to go hiking. And then if it's hunting season, the hunters come out here to probably park. They have different spots in the forest where you can park. And you have single family homes within the forest. Large acreage properties. Those fences are to keep their animals in. Those of you who've been on the channel a while, one time we came here and the longhorn cows got out and they were all over the road. Somebody twisted the screw up there. So this part of the road, I think it's like 2%. And it goes for a long while. So we're working here. So in this kind of situation, you want to make sure that you're not over revving or, you know, you just hang on because this is a long effort. And there are no stop signs. So you want to stay close. Drafting is a factor here because of the wind, but it's really the grade you're up against. It's not that much. It's just, 1 or 2%. But you feel it because it's going on for several miles. And somebody up there is going faster and faster, so you got to keep up. So if you're not used to that, it can sap your energy. The pace has slacked a bit. Sitting up there, I believe. Yeah, Kenny pulled off. The camera doesn't pick it up. He pulled off and then he kept going the same pace. Well, I wasn't going to go faster than he was going. I continued to do it. Then he went back to the front. So I just let everybody come around me. That's why you see me on the right there. And I'm just going to slip in. Probably in front of Paul, I think. Okay, I went in front of Mike. So I just let everybody come around. I slip back to the front because it's kind of like I don't know. Riders have different ways that they ride. I mean, if you're going to pull off, you're supposed to back off just a little so that the pace stays the same. But if you're going to pull off and then come back and raise the pace again, I'm just going to sit on your wheel. There's nothing wrong with what he did. It's just that I didn't want to go any faster. I was just holding the pace steady. I need about another week to make sure I'm 100% for all my little ailments off the bike, and then I can start pushing. This is a good pace in here. I'm doing like 22, 23 miles an hour. So we hold this pace through here. You can see the line is nice and tight. So we've got the Memorial Day holiday coming on. I don't know if people are going to ride on the Monday, on the actual holiday. A lot of times we have long rides on that holiday because people are off of work. So Paul's telling what's his name, Pedro, to stay in his lane because he drifts all over the place. I don't really say much to people like that. I just hold my position because if you drift, you're gonna see me there. I just make sure you're not getting my front wheel. If you get my body, you will bounce back. As long as you're not getting my wheel, I don't worry about it. The road is all chewed up over there. That's why we separated there. That's Doug over there with the orange arm sleeves. Mike Bereras in Veloharmony orange. And then my brother from another mother, Abby. That's how Abby greets me. He said, my brother from another mother. I think he says the same thing to Paul, too. From where our people are from in Nigeria, Oga means my friend. So when I see him sometimes I say, Oga, and he laughs. And somebody forced the pace again. So that's the thing with the group. The pace is always accelerating or whatever. So if you want to ride with a group and the speed's changing, make sure your gearing does not cause you to be labored so that you can lift it when they do, then you slow down your cadence when they back off. So that way you're not always looking for gears. So we're actually having a full spring in our air and we're enjoying it. Look at this forest. Trees on both sides. Even in the summer when we come out here, it's a little cooler. I love coming out here. This is a descent. So the unfortunate thing is we can't record, let's say 3 hours of the ride or whatever. We have to do our best to decide which sections we record, because coming back, when we're coming back into town, we were flying. We had a bit of a cross tailwind, and on Fishcreek, we were doing 27, 28 miles an hour, holding it. And once again, we came up on another group again. They were all splintered. So we're picking them up one by one. There are a lot of holes. That's what Mike was pointing at. You use your hips to get around that. You steer with your hips. You turn with the bars, but you steer with your hips. The bike will glide. So I don't know what you did on Saturday, but this is part of what we did this weekend. Remember, get your K's in and keep the doctors far.